What happens when a country music legend steps onto the glitzy stage of one of TV's slickest talk shows, expecting a friendly chat but getting a verbal ambush instead? Blake Shelton thought he was appearing on the Norton show to plug his new CBS reality series The Road, a gritty singing competition set to air in fall 2025. But what unfolded was a fiery clash that left the audience stunned, producers reeling, and social media ready to erupt. This wasn't just a promotional spot gone sideways. It was a showdown that exposed raw tensions over authenticity, fame, and the power of a platform, with stakes high enough to shake both their careers. Hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments, because this story builds to a crescendo that'll keep you hooked until the very last word. Blake Shelton strode onto the Norton show set, his cowboy boots clicking against the polished floor, flashing a wide, easy grin as he waved to the cheering crowd, his Oklahoma charm instantly warming the room. Norton greeted him with a theatrical flourish, his voice dripping with playful energy as he introduced Blake, hyping The Road as a game-changer for music competitions and tossing in a cheeky quip about Blake's cowboy hat collection. The audience laughed, but Graham's smile had a mischievous edge, hinting at a plan to steer the conversation into choppy waters. "Thanks for having me, Graham. Always a good time on this couch," Blake said, settling into the red sofa, his drawl thick and relaxed, tipping an imaginary hat to the crowd. "I'm excited to talk about The Road. It's gonna show the real grind of chasing a music dream." "Oh, we're thrilled to have you, Blake," Graham replied, leaning forward with a sly grin. "But I've got to ask about something you said recently. You know, that bit about TV folks like me overcomplicating things with our hot takes. Care to explain what you meant by that?" The audience chuckled, sensing a shift as Blake's grin faltered slightly, his hands resting on his knees. "I think you're twisting my words a bit, Graham," he said, his voice steady. "I was talking about how some shows turn real issues into drama for ratings. I'm all about keeping it real, like The Road does, showing folks' struggles, not preaching at them." Graham raised an eyebrow, his tone teasing but sharp. "Keeping it real, Blake. That's bold from a guy who's been on The Voice for 23 seasons. Coaching from a shiny studio, you're telling me you're the expert on real when you're living the high life in Nashville?" Blake leaned back, his voice calm but firm. "I'm no expert, Graham, but I grew up in Ada, Oklahoma, picking up cans to make ends meet. My mom ran a beauty salon, my dad sold cars. I know what it's like to scrape by. I'm saying shows like yours sometimes make folks' struggles a punchline, not a story." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others surprised, as Graham leaned forward, his voice playful but pointed. "A punchline, Blake. Ouch. I'll have you know we're all about heart here. But you said talk shows like mine are out of touch, so who's out of touch? The guy with the ranch and the private jet, or me, just asking the questions?" Blake's jaw tightened, his drawl sharpening. "I said some hosts. Not you specifically, Graham. But since you're asking, I think you take real issues, jobs, family, faith, and turn them into quick gags to get laughs. The Road is about giving people a shot, not mocking where they come from." Graham's eyes twinkled, his voice dripping with mock offense. "Mocking, Blake? That's harsh. I'm out here giving a platform to real stories. You're the one judging from your voice chair, acting like you're still that small-town kid when you're a multi-millionaire. Tell me, when did you last pick up cans?" The audience gasped, some laughing nervously, as Blake leaned forward, his voice steady. "I don't hide my success, Graham, but I don't forget where I came from either. I built The Road to give kids like I was a chance, not to tear them down like you do when you poke fun at folks who don't think like you." Joy Bihar, a guest host for the episode, tried to jump in. "All right, let's not get too serious. Maybe talk about The Road's contestants." But Graham waved her off, his voice sharp. "No, Joy, I want to hear this, Blake. You think I'm tearing people down? Enlighten me. How's my show failing the people?" Blake shook his head, his tone firm. "You're failing them when you take their beliefs, their struggles, and make them a joke, Graham. I've seen you laugh off small-town values like they're nothing. The road shows the heart of those places, the grit, not some caricature for your audience to clap at. Graham's smile faded, his voice rising. A caricature, Blake. I'm giving a voice to the unheard. You're out there singing about pickup trucks and whiskey, acting like you're the spokesman for the heartland. You don't get to come here and tell me I'm doing it wrong. I'm not your spokesman, Graham, Blake fired back, his hands gesturing sharply. But I know what it's like to grow up with nothing. I don't claim to solve the world's problems. But I don't mock folks for how they live either. You invited me to talk about my show. But you're turning this into a fight to make headlines. The crowd went quiet, the tension spiking, as Graham leaned back, his voice cutting. Headlines, Blake, you're the one making waves with your comments about talk shows. You said we're out of touch. So own it. Or are you just gonna hide behind that country boy charm? Blake stood, his boots scuffing the floor, his voice steady. I own every word, Graham. But you're the one making this personal. You want a real talk, let's have it. But stop trying to paint me as some fake just because I called out your game. That's not truth. That's a setup. The audience held their breath, producers signaling frantically from the control room, security inching closer, as the clash between Blake and Graham teetered on the edge, ready to explode into something unforgettable. Blake Shelton stood tall on the Graham Norton show's vibrant set, his cowboy boots planted firmly, his voice still ringing from calling out Graham Norton's ambush tactics, while Graham leaned forward on his plush red chair, his sly grin barely masking the challenge in his eyes, ready to escalate their verbal sparring into a full-blown showdown. The crowd sat frozen, their attention locked on the two as the co-guests, a British comedian and a rising pop star, shifted awkwardly, their attempts to lighten the mood long abandoned. Producers in the control booth scrambled, headsets buzzing with urgent directives, while security lingered near the stage, poised for any sudden move. Hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments, because this clash is about to explode and the next twist will leave you wondering who'll walk away unscathed. Graham tilted his head, his voice dripping with playful venom. So Blake, you're calling me out for setting you up, but you're the one who came in hot, saying talk shows like mine are out of touch. You can't just toss that bomb and expect me to smile and nod. Tell me, what makes you think you're the arbiter of what's real, Mr. Country Star? Blake leaned forward, his drawl sharp, his hands gesturing broadly. I'm no arbiter, Graham. I'm just a guy from Ada, Oklahoma, who knows what it's like to work hard. I said some hosts turn folks' lives into a punchline. The road is about giving people a shot, not laughing at their dreams, but you're twisting my words to make me the bad guy. That's your game, not mine. Graham's eyes twinkled, his tone cutting. My game, Blake. I'm just asking you to own your words you said were not real enough. But you're out there coaching on The Voice, living in a Nashville mansion. How's that any more real than what I do here? Blake's voice stayed firm, his hands gripping the sofa. I don't hide my success, Graham, but I don't forget the days I was singing in dive bars. Scraping by, my show The Road is about kids like that. Not mocking their small-town roots like you do when you poke fun at folks who don't fit your big city vibe. Graham leaned back, his voice rising with mock indignation. Poke fun, Blake. I'm giving a platform to real stories. You're the one acting like you're still that Oklahoma kid. But you're a star now. Cashing checks, dating Gwen Stefani. Tell me, when's the last time you lived that small-town life you keep preaching about? Blake's jaw clenched, his tone sharp. I live it every time I go home, Graham. I see my people. My family, still working hard. I don't need to prove it to you, but you take their values, faith, hard work, and turn them into a joke for your audience. That's not a platform. That's a stage for your ego. The crowd stirred, some nodding in agreement, others leaning forward, as the comedian co-guest tried to jump in. Hey, maybe we talk about the road's contestants. Sounds fun. But Graham waved him off, his voice pointed. No, I want to hear this, Blake. You think my show's a joke? Enlighten me. How's the road so much better than what we do here? Blake's voice rose, his frustration clear. The road shows the grind, Graham, the late nights, the rejection, the heart it takes to chase a dream. I don't sit there judging folks for where they're from. You've got a whole segment poking fun at red state values, calling them backward. That's not storytelling. That's tearing people down. Graham's smile faded, his tone sharp. Tearing down, Blake. I call out nonsense. I talk about real issues, inequality, division, while you're singing about beer and trucks, acting like you're the voice of the heartland. You don't get to judge my show when you're out there playing the cowboy. Blake stood, his boots scuffing the floor, his voice steady but intense. I'm not playing. Graham, I lived it. My mom ran a salon, my dad sold cars. I know struggle. You invited me to talk about the road. But you're digging into my life to make me look fake. You're not after truth. You're after a fight. Graham stood too, his voice booming. A fight, Blake. You started this. Throwing shade at talk shows. Now you can't handle me pushing back. If you don't like it, you know where the door is. Nobody's begging you to stay. Blake's hands clenched, his drawl cutting through. I'm not running, Graham. But I'm not here to be your punching bag either. You want a real conversation, let's have it. But stop trying to paint me as some fraud just because I called out your shtick. That's not hosting. That's a setup. Graham's eyes narrowed, his voice sharp. A setup, Blake. I'm asking you to back up your big talk. You said I'm out of touch, so prove it. Tell me how I'm failing my audience. Go on, I'm all ears. Blake leaned closer, his voice low and fierce. You fail them when you turn their lives into a gag, when you laugh at their beliefs to get claps. When you ambush me here instead of talking about the road, you're not connecting with people, you're performing for ratings. Graham's hands hit the desk, his tone rising. Performing, huh? That's rich from a guy who's been on TV for years, acting like the good old boy. You're no different. Blake, you're selling a brand, not a truth. So don't come here acting like you're above me. Blake's voice stayed steady, his hands gesturing sharply. My brand, Graham, is built on real. I don't pretend to solve the world's problems. But I don't mock folks for how they live either. You invited me to talk about a show that lifts people up. But you're trying to tear me down. That's not truth. That's a power play. Graham leaned forward, his voice cutting. A power play, Blake. I'm giving you a chance to explain yourself, but you're dodging. You said we're out of touch. So stand by it. Or are you just gonna hide behind that Oklahoma charm? Blake's eyes flashed, his tone firm. I stand by it, Graham, but you're proving my point. You're not interested in my story. You're interested in making me look bad. You brought me here to promote the road. But you're turning it into a circus, and I'm not here for your games. The crowd leaned in, their focus unbreakable, as security edged closer. Producers waving frantically, sensing the moment was about to tip into something no one could predict. Blake Shelton's voice echoed across the Graham Norton show set, his sharp words about Graham's ambush tactics hanging in the air. As he stood firm, his cowboy boots rooted to the floor, challenging the host's motives with a steely glare. Graham Norton leaned over his desk, his retort about Blake's big talk still ringing. His playful demeanor now a mask for a fierce determination to keep the upper hand. The co-guests, a British comedian and a pop star, sat silent, their faces tense, while producers signaled frantically from the control booth, desperate to steer the runaway segment before it crashed completely. Security guards hovered near the stage, their hands poised, as the clash teetered on the edge of a defining moment. Hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments, because this final showdown reveals who stands tall and who's left picking up the pieces. Graham leaned forward, his voice sharp with mock surprise. So Blake, you're calling my show a circus. You come here to plug the road, but you're throwing punches at me. You said I'm out of touch, so back it up. Tell me how I'm failing my audience, or are you just all hat and no cattle? Blake's hands clenched, his drawl cutting through. I'm backing it up, Graham. You fail them when you take their struggles, small-town life, faith, hard work, and turn them into a quick laugh. The road shows the heart of those folks, their grind. not some caricature for your fancy crowd to clap at. You invited me to talk about my show, but you're trying to paint me as a fake to score points. Graham's eyes narrowed, his tone biting. Score points, Blake. I'm asking you to own your words. You said talk shows like mine are out of touch, but you're the one living large, coaching on The Voice, dating a pop star. You're not exactly the Oklahoma everyman anymore, so don't lecture me about heart. Blake stepped closer, his voice steady but fierce. I don't lecture, Graham, I tell it straight. I grew up with nothing, my mom cutting hair, my dad hustling cars. I built the road to give kids like me a shot, not to mock their roots like you do when you poke fun at red state values on your show. The crowd shifted, some nodding in support, others leaning forward as Graham stood, his hands hitting the desk. Poke fun, Blake. I'm giving a voice to people. I talk about real issues, division, inequality, while you're singing about beer and trucks, acting like you're the spokesman for the heartland. You don't get to judge my platform when you're cashing Hollywood checks. Blake's voice rose, his hands gesturing sharply. I'm not judging, Graham. I'm calling out what I see. You invited me to talk about a show that lifts people up, but you're digging into my life to make me look small. That's not a voice, that's a setup, and I'm not here to play your game. Graham's smile vanished, his voice booming. My game, Blake, you started this. Throwing shade at talk shows. Now you can't handle the pushback. If you don't like it, there's the door. Nobody's forcing you to stay on this couch. Blake's boots scuffed the floor, his voice low and pointed. I'm not running, Graham. But I'm not your punching bag either. You want a real talk, let's have it. But stop trying to tear me down just because I called out your shtick. That's not truth. It's a stunt. The comedian co-guest tried to jump in. Hey, maybe we talk about the Rhodes auditions. Sounds cool. But Graham waved him off, his voice sharp. No, I want to hear this. Blake, you think I'm a stunt? Tell me how I'm failing. Go on. Lay it out for the folks at home. Blake leaned forward, his drawl fierce. You fail when you laugh at people's lives. Graham, when you make their beliefs a punchline, when you ambush me here instead of talking about the road, you're not connecting. You're chasing claps, and I'm done letting you twist my words for your show. Graham's hands slammed the desk again, his tone rising. Twist your words, Blake. I'm asking you to stand by them. You said I'm out of touch, so prove it. Or are you just gonna hide behind that country charm and walk away? Blake's eyes flashed, his voice steady. I stand by every word, Graham. But you're proving my point. You brought me here to promote a show about real dreams, but you made this a fight. And now you're mad because I'm fighting back. That's on you, not me. Graham's voice cracked with frustration. On me, Blake, you're the one who came in swinging. If you can't handle the heat, get off my set. This is my show, and I don't need your attitude ruining it. Blake took a step toward the exit, his voice calm but piercing. Your show, Graham, but you don't get to invite me, attack me, and then cry foul when I push back. I'm leaving because I respect myself too much to stay in this trap, not because you're kicking me out. The crowd clapped loudly, some cheering, as Blake turned to them, his voice softening. Folks, I came to talk about the road, about giving people a chance. I want you to remember who tried to keep it real and who turned it into a brawl. Graham shouted after him, Keep it real, Blake. You're walking away like a coward. Go sell your reality show and leave the real talk to me. Blake paused at the stage's edge, his voice low. Real talk, Graham, is listening, not attacking. It's lifting people up, not tearing them down. You chose a fight, and I'm choosing to walk away with my head high. Blake strode off, his boots echoing as Graham sank into his chair, his face tight with a mix of anger and regret, realizing he'd overplayed his hand. The cameras caught his forced smile. We'll be back after this. But the crowd's silence screamed louder, their faces showing disappointment. Social media exploded, clips of Blake's exit trending with hashtags like #BlakeVSGraham, fans praising his grit, posting, He walked off like a legend, while others slammed Graham. He tried to break Blake and broke himself. Headlines screamed, Blake Shelton storms off Graham Norton in epic clash, with analysts noting Blake's stand for authenticity won hearts, while Graham's ambush cost him trust. Graham's team issued a weak statement about lively debates, but it couldn't undo the damage, his charm dented by hubris. Blake stayed quiet, his walk-off speaking volumes, tying the road to a real-life stand for principle. The clash became a cultural touchstone, proof that authenticity trumps drama, with Blake's exit a lesson in standing firm without stooping low. Graham's legacy took a hit, his wit overshadowed by a moment of overreach. Years later, this moment would echo, reminding everyone who fought for honesty and who fell to their own ego. Blake's final words a testament to keeping it real.
Thank you for watching our channel Modern Stories. If you liked our video, you should subscribe for more amazing videos like this. Have a healthy and happy day. See you in the next one.